Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone whoever is watching us today. My name is Ahmad Javaid, and I'm once again with another episode of Technovation with Ahmad Javaid. And I warmly welcome all the participants on a one more very relevant topic, which is cyber insurance. Is it a luxury or a necessity in the today's digital challenging era? And that's exactly what we will be discussing today with our industry experts. And today I'm joined with once more a very heavy panel with the industry experts, where I would like to request Mr. Imran Yasin to kindly introduce yourself, please.
Imran Yasin, I am heading Master Group of Industry as an insurance head and managing its operations all over Pakistan. I have more than 17 years of experience in this field and working in different capacities and managing operations not only in Pakistan but international too. So it's my brief discussions. Then over to you, MSL.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate for you joining us today, taking the time out, and I'm certainly looking forward for our audience to getting engaged with us to ask more relevant questions and to understand and learn from your experience and knowledge.
My pleasure, sir.
So we will move to our next guest, which is our very regular, Mr. Ghulam Shabbir Saab. If you could kindly introduce yourself, please.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum, Ahmad, and all the viewers. Ghulam Shabbir, and I actually practice public policy design and analysis, as well as governance reforms and digital governance alongside technology adoption. And in the most recent times, I am researching on the adoption of artificial intelligence as well as other emerging technologies like quantum computing and nanomaterials from very variable different perspectives, including industry and organizational adoption, as well as adoption in the field of sovereignty as well as defense. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and certainly, having the knowledge and experience relevant to the more recent emerging technologies will create a more relevance to the current topic today, which is there's no second opinion that every new technology brings its own risks. So, with the adoption of AI, when we are started observing a more targeted and more devastating and disastrous attacks, I would say, and which is resulting in a more larger and major impacts in the form of the technology stack failures, financial, and a lot of other forms of impacts. And that's why it's very important to discuss today what is the mitigation factors or what are the options for the business executives today to reduce the impact of such attacks and failures. And of course, in reality, we can certainly reduce the quantity or the amount of risk, but we cannot eliminate it. We live in a world where element of uncertainty has always been be there, with the lack of knowledge about the new technologies due to uncertain factors, undiscovered vectors, and all that. So that's why the today's topic have its own major importance to discuss and have a deep dive into this, that how an insurance element can help us mitigating these factors. So without any further ado, I mean, I would like to start our discussion by pushing my first question to Imran Yasin Saab, that let's, in your opinion, what is cyber insurance? How would you like to define cyber insurance?
Ahmed, like other insurances, cyber insurances again are risk transfer mechanism to protecting organizations against losses from the cyber incidents, such as data breaches, ransomware, or network disruptions. And we have also observed in Pakistan a hell of examples uh, for hacking the computers, and the organizations are suffering a lot of losses there. So, insurance, cyber insurance is now the need of the hour here. So, basically, it is not limited to the large organization, but small organization which are off and on are on the networks. They require cyber insurance, especially so in Pakistan, banking sectors, multinational companies are relying on it. But if we observe that here, due to the lack of knowledge, people still don't know what is cyber insurance is. So cyber insurance basically covers organizations against the financial losses due to cyber attacks. It's simple. It saves you from the financial losses.
I mean, that's a very the most simple definition I've ever heard. To be honest, like the it's help us protecting the financial losses or protecting us from the financial losses. However, there would be certainly the hidden elements, and there will be other form of losses as well. What I would say is like productivity loss or regulatory non-compliance penalties and so forth. So eventually the whole thing will become in form of financial impact. But however, let's take Ghulam Shabir's viewpoint on this thing. How, Ghulam Sab, how would you like to define this cyber insurance?
So I think that the one-liner given by Imran is actually saying it all. However, since we know that whenever we talk of cyber, so we are talking of a mix of certain elements, and the first and the foremost element is certainly the infrastructure. I mean, the infrastructure which actually carries all the cyber related activities on its backbone, right? And we have certainly different forms of fixed as well as hybrid kinds of infrastructures altogether, which provide overall backbone to the digital work processes, or the digital or cyber related activities. It's a ground for digital cyber related activities to happen. So certainly, right away from the infrastructure to the other layers which are built on that infrastructure in order to make any or all kind of cyber activities in terms of their implementation, execution, their planning, their controlling, their governance and management. So this risk is everywhere. So cyber insurance is basically all about encompassing all the origination points which may deter, or which may which may actually pose any kind of a concurrent or a futuristic loss in terms of direct monetary losses, in terms of the lost opportunities, as well in terms of the lost time, lost resources, lost reputation. So whatever mechanism we put around that in order to minimize these losses, or in order to compensate for these losses, it actually eventually becomes the part of cyber insurance at one way or the else. You see. So at the end of the day, I mean, the bottom line is the same as told by Imran Yasin Saab already, that it is basically about covering any kind of risk emerging from the cyber activities of any organization, be I mean, irrespective of its size, or irrespective of the quantum of the risk itself. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving or sharing such a comprehensive view of the cyber insurance, though. But that brings another question in my mind. Imran Sab, if you would like to shed some light on this thing, that is it a requirement for only a larger size of organizations with a very complicated technology infrastructure, or medium and small size organizations can go as well for this?
Both type of organizations requires it. People's or organizations are more on the networks now. Every organization is using internet technologies. They have the data, they have the personal data, people's data, customers' data. They have their own data. The cost to retrieve data is very high. So, large organizations or small and medium enterprises, all those organizations which are on the internet, which are using the cyber space, they are must required to have the cyber insurance policy because the cost of retrieving the data is very high, which an organization can't bear, and especially small and medium enterprises. So, as an insurance professional, we always suggest that to save your risk, save yourself from unfortunate events. If an organization is not doing this, then they will definitely affect their businesses, or especially the organizations which are providing services. They are must required to purchase the cyber insurance policy. So every organization which is on the which are using the cyberspace, they are required. They are must have to purchase insurance, the cyber
Right.
insurance policy.
But in my view, there are like two school of thoughts in that
Mm.
perspective. Like, that
Mm.
must buy the insurance or not buy the insurance, in a way
Mm.
that any technology infrastructure is required to be protected from the uncertain cyber attacks and all that, because every technology component is today connected with the internet.
Mm.
So given that, if any organization is investing in developing the technology infrastructure, they inherently would want that infrastructure to be more robust, resilient, and secured.
Mm.
So they do require to do some sort of like internal sort of protection from such attacks. So, in your opinion, why a company would or should decide not to go for cyber insurance? Iman, Yasin sir.
There is no question regarding that. That you know, not go to the cyber insurance. Observe the quantum of the loss which you will have to face.
Right,
The quantum of loss, you are paying a very small amount of premium
right.
as compared to the loss amount. So if
Hmm.
you decide that okay, I'm not purchasing, if you don't want to purchase the insurance policy or some due to some unfortunate even loss occurs, then what you will do? It will not affect your existing operations. It will
Right.
affect your future operations too. So what
Yeah, but
about your business interruptions?
very, very rightly said. And there is another concept which I could think of, which is comes and relates. The echoing in my mind when we talk about the insurance thing is the organizational risk appetite,
Yep.
and that's where that in order to conclude something, that what is our risk threshold as an organization, there is a long study to be done in form of assessing the risks
Mm.
and quantifying those risks in form of, like, a dollar value. So, and then basically, which gives a basic scale or the criteria that to decide whether we should secure another insurance policy or no. How would you basically would like to summarize this, the whole puzzle for a corporate leader?
Ahmad sir, you with me or asking
Yes,
question?
yes, we can hear you very well.
In fact, it's a like fire insurance policy, like property insurance policy, like motor insurance policy.
Hmm.
You are required to have that. People mostly consider that in UK, in USA, in developed worlds, where they are working or they are operating their businesses on internet, they are selling their goods through internet. They are having
Yep.
data through internet. They, I always said, they, for an organization, there is no chance to lose money. And if you want to make your business safer, insurance is the best risk transfer mechanism. If you will make a pool by your own self, so loss may occur any time. You don't know the quantum of the loss. So if you
Indeed.
don't know, then as a leader, as a planner, you are required to purchase insurance policy, and even from a good insurer. You can't, well, I'll say that you can't deny the importance of insurance.
Very
Most,
rightfully said. I mean, to
most of
from
the
a
time,
good insurance as well. Yeah, Imran
uh,
sir, please allow me to come back on this thing because we're gonna have another deeper discussion on to qualify some insurer as a good insurer. So let me come back on that thing just before collecting views from Ghulam Shabir Sahab. Ghulam Shabir Sahab, what's your viewpoint on this criteria to decide whether we should go for insurance policy or no?
You see, Ahmad, basically this criteria, it stems up from the overall strategy as well as the risk profile and the risk appetite that an organization wants to maintain or wants to carry altogether, right? So it is basically an essential business strategy as well as business risk aversiveness and business continuity decision altogether, right? And you know better than us that business continuity, risk profiling, as well as risk appetite, strategy, all these three elements, they go hand in hand, and there are a host of factors which actually help an organization steer around these three very important or critical elements, right? So I mean, your customers profile, the profiles of the channel partners that you serve or that you work with, the overall ecosystem of the industry in which you are, living or residing in order to, perform your business activities, the regulatory environment and all together. So every this bit is actually a contributor to a decision in one way or the else, that whether you should consume a cyber risk insurance or not. This covers the conceptual part, or this covers the, maybe the standards or the approach part, right? Now, when it comes to overall execution of business activities and the kind of vulnerability which is built in or which is inherent within the entire, cyber environment, then that's altogether another level of reference for which you must be very open and you must be very cautious as a corporate entity in order to manage that risk or avoid that risk, or for that matter, carry forward to to set up something to deal with that risk. You see, if the risk materializes actually. So I think that the both of these, dimensions, the strategy, the risk profile, the risk appetite, the industry, the standards, as well as the overall, ecosystem, alongside the vulnerabilities which are actually inherent or which are carried by the cyber world. Both of these elements are, reinforcing each other to introduce a cyber insurance mechanism for a business, like any other, risk coping mechanism for the business. So it is as simple as that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Imran Sab, in a more simpler way, if I would like to highlight what or put it in a different way, what Ghulam Sahib has just said is that we need to deal with this, the uncertain risks in a normal way. That, as you previously said already, that fire kind of risk or unpredictable risks, which can be like natural disasters or another pandemic and so forth. Same goes with the technological risks as well, because of new emerging technologies with the, people tend to use without knowing the related risks and the related cyber attacks. But question gonna remain the same, that if I try to take your help to simplify that sort of decision for the corporate leaders, that whether why we should go for insurance, because there are still a lot of organizations around the world which still decide not to go, apart from regulatory, the enforcements. In a private sector, there are a lot of organizations which they do not tend to buy the insurance policies. So, as you said previously, that it's eventually a risk mitigation option. So, would that be agreeable for you, that if I try to define, that if we identify an organization as a something as a risk, we do have, 3 or 4 options to respond to. One is whether we should accept that risk because we cannot do anything about it. Second thing is we try to do something to mitigate that risk. Or the third option is that we transfer. So the transferring option, where we come to that insurance thing, insurance is a more relevant, practically doable, and cost effective approach of transferring that risk, so that we can at least ensure the sustainability of the business. So would you agree on what I said? Like, if the criteria gonna remain same on the cost factor of mitigation that risk?
Amazon in US only, 70 to 80%
Hmm.
medium to large businesses have purchased the cyber insurance coverages in US
Right.
only.
Hmm.
Similarly, around $15 billion premium they have paid in 2024 for cyber insurance coverages. And it is being accepted around by 2030, it may be double.
Right.
So organizations, people have, or organization knows now the importance when they face the loss.
Hmm.
If you don't have the loss, you will say no issue. It will not happen to us. But when it happens, it costs a lot to you. Especially cyber insurance will not only affects your operations, it may affect your repute, it may affect your liability, it may increase your liability. Definitely, the customers whose data you have, you for which you are providing the services, or your partners, they may sue to you. So the thing is that, okay, it's not only business, it's also the responsibility for us to save the others too. You may face the first loss, or what about the other parties who has suffered loss due to you, due to cyber insurance, due to cyber attack? So if your customer sue to you, what you will do at that moment? Again, they may sue you for millions of dollars, or the insurance policy coverage may be in thousands of dollars. So then it is decided fit. Observe the
Right.
data. Since it's a new class of insurance in countries, in developing countries. So people don't have an idea, don't have awareness. Nobody is there to educate them. In a country like Pakistan, there is an insurance company who has suffered a loss. A week, They are, for a week, they are unable to send an email to us. So imagine.
Right.
So
No, actually, you have highlighted a very one more very important aspect of it, which is the consequential losses on the third parties and the related interested parties as well, of course, including your customers, which are depending. If you are in a service provider, service business, then your customers' business is going to get affected if you face such kind of thing. But I would like to request Ghulam Shabir Sab to share your viewpoint, because for me, corporate leaders always look for cost benefit analysis. Now we look for the benefit. Yes, it's gonna save us from a lot of bigger financial losses, but there is a cost related to that in form of premium. So so which should pick up in what situation? So that's kind of a puzzle which we still need to answer. Ghulam sir.
Ahmed, the subject of insurance. I mean, this is basically something which we need to consider, especially in the cyberspace or insurance for the cyberspace. Something beyond the generic formulation of return on investment or cost and benefit analysis.
Hmm.
And let me quote you an example here. Before insurance, I mean, there is an insurance-like activity, corporate activity, which is related to health and safety, right? Now, I know a case here in Pakistan where a fueling station, I'll not take the name of a company, it's a big multinationals fueling station. They were in the habit of reviewing the overall health, safety, and environment related compliances at the fuel station level. And whenever they went to the owner of the fuel station with the non compliances, the owner would say, I have never met an incident why are you bothering me to actually fulfill the entire list of compliance? I mean, at the end of the day, I have, this items or these procedures in place already. But for these small nitty-gritties, why are you bothering me or my sister for that matter? On one fine day, on where that station was around 28 years old, fire blown up, and the same owner was actually down to the ashes with the entire property gone within a span of just 2 hours. You see. So I have just quoted you with this little longer example in the context of cyber insurance as well. So it is basically not net materiality most of the times, which can give you a logical reason for availing cyber insurance, because most of the times you may not be able to justify the cost of the insurance which you are spending altogether. And the cost of insurance, it actually has to be justified within the context of so many other vulnerabilities as well, which are prevailing across, and the insurer is actually factoring in those vulnerabilities as well, because the insurer also wants to be risk aversive, right? So it is basically a question of legitimacy or a question of ultimate care and responsibility that you want to carry forward, being a responsible business being a responsible business towards your consumers, stakeholders, ecosystem partners, and everybody, that yes, you are a serious business entity, available for taking care, always available to take care of any kind of risk which can potentially damage their reputation or your reputation, whether it is a direct loss, financial loss, or otherwise, right? So it is basically the legitimacy for yourself as well as for your other stakeholders.
Very rightfully said, and I think this example case study has must have helped the audience to draw the picture in their mind that how crucial or critical it is to buy such policies, because eventually every business has to go through different type of risks on a day-to-day basis. But business, the ultimate purpose of business is to remain in the business, so that addresses the existential threat, which is has to be a last wall of defense in my opinion, by putting all those controls and all those mitigation measures, along with that having an insurance policy. But that, that draws the whole picture very beautifully. Thank you so much, Ghulam Sab, for making it easier for us to understand and draw the full picture. So coming back to now a bit of more technicalities about this topic, Imran Sab, how would you help us understand that what that cyber insurance policy should look like, and what corporate leaders should know about that policy?
Cyber insurance, we should observe what cyber insurance provides coverage to us, how it
Yeah.
can save our losses. We should know, okay, it provides coverage against data breach response cost. You require investigation, you require credit monitoring. The cost will be paid by the insurance company. Similarly, Mr. Ghulam Shabbir has told us about the business interruption losses, consequential losses. It must be in the knowledge of CEO of a company, the order he has taken, how it will be fulfilled that. If the customer's data has lost, has grabbed by the hackers. Similarly, ransomware. The technology experts know the ransomware. They ask you money. They ask you ransom payments. So, again, they may ask you millions of dollars, millions of reals in dirham. Now, then you require data recovery and system restoration. Again, it's a cost. So, there is a list of items against which cyber insurance provides you coverage. And the most important coverage is the liability ones. The developed worlds like US, UK, Canada, the cost may reach up to millions of dollars. Might be your company may become bankrupt. So it should be either you want to in the business as per you, or you will be out of the business. So that question is
Right.
very important, which need to tell to the companies, okay, sir, cyber insurance is not the need of the hour.
Right.
Every person or every second, third individual is on internet. So need to understand the importance of it. Without it, or in the developing world, I personally think within next 5 to 10 years, they all will know the importance. The organizations like I don't want to quote the name of the company in Pakistan. It's in top 5 companies, insurance company in Pakistan. The hackers has hacked its system. So for a week, already told to you, for a week, they will be unable to send the email to us. Or we are calling to them, as we are also a large group of Pakistan. We are calling to them, kindly send us email, sir. They are saying, sir, our system has been hacked. We are unable to do that. So how many customers they have? They have lose at that moment.
Right.
So required that the compensation organization requires the compensation in case of loss, and the insurance is a very important such a mechanism which provides you compensation in the needs of the hour. Ask them who has suffered the loss. They will tell you the importance of insurance, and nobody else.
Absolutely, Imran. So there is no second opinion to this, that it does require a serious investment in terms of developing a right awareness among the stakeholders. If we don't do that, we will certainly will be designing a perfect recipe of a disaster on its own, because we cannot onboard them on the same page. So, Ghulam Saab, coming to you, in your opinion, what policy, cyber insurance policy, should cover? And of course, it's your favorite area of awareness. How important is that?
So you see, I mean, this at the policy level, if we talk of the an organization or a business related policy for cyber insurance, certainly you see there are two important dimensions. One is the coverage of the direct losses, and the other one is the coverage of the indirect losses. Now, the direct loss, it has many originations, right? In terms of the downtime, in terms of the infrastructural damage, um, and then there are so many other factors: loss of customers, loss of transactions, for example, disturbance in the regularity of the operations, for example, right? So this is all, it all comes under the direct loss coverage related umbrella. However, for the indirect losses, so you have other third party coverages to ensure, where you need to cover the penalties as well as the regulatory fines which you owe based on various regulations that you need to abide by as a business, loss to the intellectual property, the reputation, you see. And then there have been like losses to the overall non malicious system failures, for example, where you have been able to meet an incident where there was an entire system failure, but it was caused by some human error or some software glitch. So this is another dimension. So what I mean to say is that both direct and indirect incidences, they must be brought under scrutiny, and they must be brought under the coverage of an insurance plan to be consumed or to be attained through an able insurer. So this is the key, and this is really, really very important. And when it comes to um, the external elements, especially related to the compliance and the regulatory matters, then you see the sensitivity gets double or quadruple, because you are not only dealing with the I mean the incident itself, you are also liable for some, procedural as well as regulatory or compliance related, penalties or fees, which are at times very hefty. and and that actually triggers a series of, external reputational loss related incidents. I mean, you get to the media, you get to the coverage of the news, and it actually multiplies it, you see. So both these elements are critical, very important. But I also want to touch upon that around these two direct or indirect, elements of coverage that you need to obtain through a cyber insurer. Yet again, there is an other, larger environment or the task environment in which you are operating as a business or as a company or as an organization. And that larger environment also has the responsibility, by virtue of the constitution, by virtue of the regulatory framework and the laws, as well as the generally, acceptable practices, to provide businesses with at least a fundamental reference of a shield in terms of these laws or the procedures and everything, and regulations and legislation, where you can feel safe based on those laws, and the insurer as well as the cyber insurance consumer, both of them have the uncontrollables related level playing field. Otherwise, it will become very difficult for even any able cyber insurer to come down and ink an agreement of insurance, cyber insurance with yourself. Like in case of Pakistan, for example, we till this time we have not been able to enact data protection law, for example. So if we don't have, this kind of a fundamental legal framework in place, now what can we expect out of a business, and how would we be placing our cyber insurer to an accountability if an incident, for example, happens? You see, because it multiplies the risk, or it multiplies the coverage, or the actuarial, sense which has to be legitimately or logically covered by by a cyber insurance provider at the end of the day. You see. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so these are very important, elements, and these are intervened as well in many ways. So both for both, direct coverages as well as the indirect coverages. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I would agree 110% with you, because in certain situations, of because of the lack of regulations, guidelines, situations becomes more complicated when the compound risks arises, and it basically aggregates on top of that. But let's, since you have expressed a bit of sympathy in your few comments with the insurers, so let's understand from Imran Saab, like, well, let's change our hats to the insurer now. So, as Imran Saab previously said, like, qualified, use the term of qualified insurer, and your good self is used as an able insurer. So, Imran Saab, for your opinion, that what, how would you qualify an insurer um, as a good insurer? Like, what sort of capabilities an insurer should have to offer a reliable policy to its customers?
Mr. Ahmad, the selection criteria, in our own opinion, is two: capacity to pay and willingness to pay. These are two basic criteria, and according to the insurance policy coverages. A good insurer always provide you a policy with coverage and exclusions, and also notifies to you, okay, when he pay And when he will not to pay, he will guide you. His agent, his representative will definitely guide to you. So whenever you select a company, observe the company has the capacity, have proper arrangements, and secondly, read the policy too. Is there any exclusion due to which other companies are providing the coverage and the existing one or to whom you have approached are not providing to you? So
Right.
more
So that
important.
that gonna, yeah. Sorry, sorry to interrupt. That still a question is usually is related to the corporate leaders who are trying to buy the policy and selecting the insurance companies. Now, my question, let me divert it on the other side of the table, where considering the shortage of time, and I wanted to collect a few more answers for my questions, is that as an insurance company, when now what would be the criteria for me to choose or select a good customer? Why should I be selling my insurance policy to ABC company? Because that customer may have a risk of multi-million dollar running, and still I cannot, offer the same policy. So what would be a criteria for an insurance company to choose its customer?
Criteria to choosing a customer is if a multi-billion dollar company, you may got the idea from the market in which they are operating. You may got the knowledge from the previous insurer. Their loss history tells you, their attitude tells you. Observe their moral hazards, not only physical one, moral hazards is also there.
So
So,
how about their existing overall risk exposure?
yep,
That's, I
yes,
believe,
yes,
in my
yes,
opinion, would be the core criteria of
core
deciding that
criteria.
we
Yes,
should. So
in a
that's
simple,
basically drives our premium calculation. So would you
it
agree
is
with me?
I 100% agree with you. But risk exposure is a typical word, which most of the insurers use that. Okay, how the risk exposure is. And through discussion, you will observe their moral hazards, and through their history, you may come to know. You may ask questions from them, you have proposal from them, appoint your representative, and if you require more knowledge about the business operation, have the expertise from some specialist, IT specialist. They will visit there, they will observe their behavior, etc., etc.
Right. So Ghulam sir, would you like to add anything?
So, I mean, there's not much that I could be able to add, especially from the insurer's viewpoint. But, however, um, I must say that insurers in this space, they must be savvy around, certain standards or certain compliances as well, because you see, the cyber risk, it has actually its own, risk management mechanisms, and we have seen certain standards from organizations like ISO as well as ISACA, and there are certain, risk management related frameworks as well from some very good institutes altogether working in this space, representing where we have representations from American institutes in the form of NIST. We have Australian, institute for this cyber risk and security. UK has, by the way, very vibrant cyber risk security mechanism altogether, right away from their overall, entire organization to the set of their partners and collaborators or contributors. So yes, certainly. I mean, insurers can look into the profile of the prospective client with respect to It's overall, process maturity. It's overall, maturity that is prevalent altogether, or the kind of safeguards that are actually in place. And then actually, and overall, openness and a willingness to go hand in hand in terms of improving the cyber risk as well as cyber resilience related, appetite or the capacity or the system which is already in place. I think that these are also very important elements, and they and I'm not really sure, but generally it appears that the cyber risk insurers, they must be wary about these kind of, factors, or these kind of elements before venturing into provision of cyber risk insurance for any of the entities, actually. Yeah.
Certainly, I mean, for any kind of insurance company, I mean, knowing the regulatory framework, the landscape, and having the right competency in the field will not be able to quantify their, potential risk of any customer. So let's connect. Let me connect my next question with the same very thing, which point you have highlighted. That Imran Sab, if let's assume one of the customer company of an insurance company is hit with the ransomware as a case study. So and there is a damage. So what sort of the core steps an insurance company would perform in order to assess the damage and to quantify that, the claim, that how much would be the what do you call the claim amount or something.
Definitely, insurance company will ask data from them. They will review their operations. They will contact their IT team. They will definitely very firstly observe, okay, is the claim paper or not? Have they have set the standards in the insurance policy to follow? Have they used the firewalls, antivirus systems? They have the updated software. Do they have any sort of cyber insurance security response plan? So after that, they will ask them, government data you have, do you have the backup? Bring the backup to us. They will review that. Insurers have the experts. They know. Insurers have can require the services of experts, IT experts as a loss adjuster. They will review your data. They will ask you about your revenue. They will they will approach to your team. Then quantum of loss will be decided. So maximum the insurance company will pay will be the sum insured, not more than this. As you know,
Yeah. So
liability will be
Imran
spread.
sir, uh, yeah, well taken point, and for the just greater benefit for our audience, would you um, can would you like to highlight few of the core skills these tech investigators should have, which insurance company would onboard them for such investigations?
You must have the knowledge of fireballs.
Hmm.
You must observe that, okay, what is the cost of software data they are using that. Similarly, they will observe how much they have paid for buying the softwares, updated softwares. So, in order to protect your loss assessment, uh, an expert we have, and that it doesn't mean that the expert is only the hardware experts. They have the market knowledge. They know what is being happened on the Google. They should have the knowledge. Okay, what is right now the cost of the data to retrieve? Which companies are providing the services for fetching the data, or managing the operations. They have the experts who may directly deal with the hackers for ransom payments. So, a lot of techniques insurance company have, and as you know, insurance company have the professions in all fields who are providing the services to them.
Thank you so much, Imran sir, for pinpointing the very exact, the skill set required. But Ghulam sir, from your expertise, as we understood from Imran Sab, that it requires a very specific and domain specific and a deep sort of skill set for such investigators to go and do the assessment of the breach situation and all that, to assess the damage. From your recommendation, what corporate leaders should consider, or the insurance companies should consider while investing in their resources to train them with the relevant skill set and knowledge?
Yes, certainly. All the first and the foremost guideline for this would be, and a very elaborate one, that these investigators or professionals must be able to um, investigate the incidences or carry out the forensics on the basis of the applicable standards which are actually mandated either by a regulator or by a OEM for that matter, or a practice owner, for example. So it may vary from an industry to industry and from a process to process. However, the core guideline must be that these investigators must be equipped with the standard skills and competencies emanating from applicable standards from various bodies, industries, associations, as well as the regulators. So that is actually the key, right? And other than that, of course, you see, I mean, while getting along with the investigations, there are certain, other elements of the competencies. I mean, approaching to the clients, approaching to the environment, interacting with the equipment, so and so on and so forth. So these are some of the softer side of the competencies that must be exhibited or demonstrated by these professionals. So I think that these two elements are the key: adherence or the competencies or the skills which are mandated by the standards, as well as other softer competencies which are required to interact with or on the scene of the overall investigation.
Certainly, when as you very highlighted a core steps which is required for insurance companies to take to train it. But however, as I think all of us will agree with each other that we need to have a proper comprehensive training and awareness program for those technically skilled resources, because your overall business outcome relies on them, their assessment reports, and how technically reliable those are. So with this said, we are approaching a last minute for our episode, where if I wrap up our discussion, if I summarize our discussion, so today, based on our today's discussion and opinions from the experts, cyber insurance is not a luxury anymore, which it used to be. Considering the technological evolution today and the rapid advancements in technological endeavors, the cyber attacks are become more targeted, devious, and uncertain. And due to that very reason, that sometime becomes an existential threat, which is there's no other way to mitigate that uncertain risk other than buying the insurance policy, which help us remaining in the business league. On the other side, there is a lot of factors which we have discussed, including the criteria for the corporate leaders to select the right insurer or the qualified insurer for their cyber coverage. And on the other side, we have understood from our experts that what insurance policies should do in order to assess and conclude the premium value for or selling the cyber insurance policies. And at the end, we discuss about the technical expertise required for those insurance investigators in case their customers hit with cyber breaches. With this said, I would like to thank our experts which have joined us today. Imran, Yasin Saab, thank you so much for joining us today. And Ghulam, Shabbir Saab, thank you so much. Really appreciate your knowledge and wisdom which you have shared with our audience today. And once again, thank you for our audience for joining us, which basically always brings us a lot of motivation, strength, and the reason to go forward. And in the future, as usual, we'll be bringing more relevant discussions and the topics which will help corporate, not only the corporate leaders, whoever is attending our sessions in the future. With this thing, thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.
Allah.